Inter have escaped with a 1-1 draw against Roma, though winless in their last 6 Serie A matches. In my opinion, they've illustrated to be some way away from being a true top 3 contender. So in a similar vein to the reverse fixture, it's fair to say that Roma fans will be a little more disappointed with a draw than their opposite supporters. Inter were dominated in most parts of the field, particularly in the first half, and more so in midfield, where Raja Nangolan, Kevin Strootman and Pellegrini were simply far better than their opposite numbers. Borja Valero, he was very slow in the first half and was not on top of his game in that advanced role in the midfield trio. Inter seemed to just lack any confidence on the ball. Roberto Gagliardini was completely off his game and seemed to struggle against his opposition. It slightly improved in the second half when Marcelo Brozovic was brought on in place of Gagliardini, and Valero dropped back into that deeper midfield position. However, even so, it wasn't until some forced substitutions were made by Roma where they had to drop back, and it was only then that Inter got onto the front foot, were able to push forward and eventually get that goal to equalise and escape with a point. Now, not only that, but the Inter wingers, not in this game only, but over the last month, have really struggled. Now, Antonio Candreva, you might say, whether it's unfair or fair, has copped abuse for most of this season. So I guess in some ways it's not surprising from the right side, given how many opportunities they have and how many simply squandered. Though it's the left side that's possibly the last month or so, it has been the main difference, where Ivan Perisic simply has lost his form completely. Basically since that hat-trick against Chievo, he's really struggled to provide those assists or even score any goals like he was earlier in the season. And we're now seeing just how important his role was on that left side to provide that alternative in Inter's attack. To obviously a lot of the attack goes down the right, but without that danger on the left, it really leaves Inter's attack bland, easy to read, and lacking any kind of creativity, which of course leaves Mauro Icardi for large periods of the match just simply isolated. And then we move to the left back position, where Davide Santon, I guess you could say, grabbed the assist for Stefan El Shaarawy's goal. Another disastrous performance, I think it's fair to say. And you have to wonder how many more goals will be conceded, how many more points will be let through the fingers for Inter before this position is properly addressed. And not only that, but what does Delbert have to do to actually get a run? Or what is he doing wrong in training that he can't get a run? Because you can't surely think that Delbert, or even as crazy as it sounds, Nagatomo, they can't surely do any worse in defense than Santon is doing, because it's simply not good enough for a team that's supposed to be challenging for a Champions League spot and potentially better than that. I think it's fair to say that in most of Inter's matches against the top sides in Serie A this season, they've actually been dominated for large parts of the match. We've seen this twice against Roma now, a lot against Juventus, against Napoli, and even Lazio. Now, of course, Luciano Spalletti deserves a lot of credit, that they've still been able to grab points in these matches, and not only that, for the fact that Inter have stood in such a high position, which is probably a lot higher than their quality dictates. Though, until Inter can go into these matches with the confidence, with belief in their own abilities, and with no obvious weaknesses, then they are still some way away from being a top 3 side. Now, Spalletti himself even acknowledged potential mentality issues in the press conference following today's match, where he actually stated that perhaps we aren't totally convinced that we can sustain certain levels, which isn't good. And he goes on to finish, we have to learn to trust our qualities, and that is 100% true. Now, of course, this video, it's concentrated on Inter not being a top 3 side, and of course that whole top 3 element is now possibly somewhat obsolete, given that Serie A has won back the 4th Champions League qualification position, though possibly a favourable time, let's say, for the Nerazzurri, in that with the top 3 potentially too far gone in some people's opinion, it looks like Inter might be left fighting for that 4th position with the likes of Lazio. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Of course, the Nerazzurri do have the advantage of only playing Serie A for the rest of the season, of course not playing anything in Europe, and knocked out of the Coppa Italia just after Christmas by AC Milan. So that's it from me. Of course, let us know what you think about the match in itself, about Inter's mentality. Are they a top 3 side, or are they still building towards that? And any praise that you might have for Luciano Spalletti, who continues to just amaze, I guess, a lot of neutral and Inter fans, I think it's fair to say. So let us know what you think in the comments below. As always, subscribe to the channel, follow Forza Italian Football on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course read some of the great features that are on ForzaItalianFootball.com. Until next time, ciao for now.